Welcome to Business Spotlight, where we share insights, reflections, advice, and pearls of wisdom from local business owners. My name is Ceri James. I'm a business coach and a facilitator. And this afternoon, we welcome to Business Spotlight a partner in Allied Global Engineering, Bethan Jepson. Good afternoon to you, Bethan.
Hello, good afternoon, Ceri.
Let's get right into it, if that's okay with you, Bethan. Allied Global Engineering, if you can give us a little bit of history and a little bit of detail about what you specialize in, please. Let's start there, if we may.
Sure. So Allied Global Engineering is a fairly new company, actually. We started it in the pandemic. So it was originally founded by my dad, Phil Jepson, who I've worked with for about a decade in various different businesses and entrepreneurial ventures. We love love doing some cheeky business stuff together. So so he launched it mostly out of opportunity. An engineering business kind of came up for sale, and he decided he wanted to do something different. He's ran different businesses in the past, and I've ran different businesses in the past, and it was mostly just the opportunity. So lo and behold, he bought this engineering business. And it's kind of just gone from there, really. We've done probably, 5 or 6 different business acquisitions. Most of them we've held on to. One we didn't hold on to for various different reasons. And now we're growing a group of engineering businesses that kind of all work together. And that's why we call it Allied, because in theory they should all be allies of each other. So it's kind of a fun way that we get to just test our business skills. Really, every day is a new challenge. Every day we learn something new. Every day is a chance to seize an opportunity, and we just love that. So it's me and my dad, and we have another business partner who's a German fella who we met networking years ago. And so it's funny how kind of things come together, really. But like I say, it's fun. I'd say it's challenging, but it's fun.
And so when it comes to potential businesses you might want to invest in, what sort of criteria are you looking at, Bethan?
So for us, we're focused on the smaller side of things, because me and my dad especially have only ever worked and ran in small businesses. Our partner Yanni has worked in quite a big engineering business in the past, because he is a natural engineer, which helps to have a natural engineer on the board of directors. Anyway, so we're kind of focusing on like 1 million to 5-6 million turnover. If something slightly bigger came along, we'd still look at it, but kind of our expertise sort of lie at that smaller end of the spectrum. And we like it that way, because you tend, the team tends to be more of like a family feel. It's less corporate. There's more, there's less red tape. There's more room to be creative. And so it just allows us to use our skills and experience on that kind of size spectrum. But we're pretty open. If an engineering business came along that we'd, that's completely massively different to what we do now. So we're doing fabrication, machining, tooling and assembly. We also randomly have a wheelchair manufacturing business. So we'll look at anything, and for us it's more about the people, the kind of the culture of that business. Will it fit in with our mindset, what we're trying to achieve? And we kind of go from there, really.
And is that contained within the UK or very much international?
We have looked at international. We did come very close to acquiring a Turkish business, and our company is called Allied Global Engineering. So we are very much open. We've actually done quite a bit of networking in the US, and there has been a couple of opportunities in the US as well that we've looked at. So we are kind of open to different places. I say as of yet, the ones that have actually completed have been UK based, but we're an open door.
But the UK businesses are trading internationally, I'm assuming, in certain circumstances, or not?
Yeah, I'm sure there are a couple of international clients. I mean, I don't get heavily involved in the specific sales side of the business, but I'm sure there are some international clients in there somewhere. We've got massive like customers like JCB, National Grid, the NHS. I mean, I know the NHS aren't international, but we do have big customers. So yeah, they're all over the world. So I suppose it depends on what their strategies are and things, but at the same time, it's because we're building through small businesses. They're all independent businesses still. It's not like we've merged. Do you know what I mean? We're not merging them all into one big company. So they all have their own little customer bases, which vary from small customers, one-man bands. We have a farmer who makes fences, for instance, like, and then we have like JCB. So there is quite a big range, and each business is encouraged to keep their own identity and do their own thing. So yeah, there's quite a lot of variation.
And what sort of challenges have come through from Brexit and interest rates and inflation? There's been a lot of turmoil over the last 3 years or so. How has that impacted on the industry and your business, would you say?
I don't know, I'm not sure we've seen anything massive in manufacturing. I actually read a report recently that said they'd actually gone the other way for us, that we'd had a bit of a jump rather than a decline, which a lot of people predicted. I mean, that's just this first quarter, but I don't think there's been massive impacts to our business. I mean, obviously the pandemic was the biggest thing to impact us, but we started in the pandemic, so we kind of that's kind of all we knew at the beginning. But yeah, I think again, because there is such variety, and we work with big customers and small customers. We're not reliant on one sector or one group of customers to that they'll all have their ups and downs, and as long as we have enough of them, the ones that are experiencing the downs will be covered by the ones who are having the ups. So far, fingers crossed, we're okay.
There's no shortage of ups and downs when it comes to running small businesses, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Bethan, you mentioned elements of culture that you feel are important in working with new businesses. Tell us a little bit more about that, please.
I mean, nowadays people are realizing how important culture is, especially with mental health being such a prolific. I can't say the word. I'll not say that word. With mental health being obviously a very hot topic. At the end of the day, if you go to work and it's stressful, people aren't very nice, there's bullying, you feel discriminated against, you don't get your voice heard, then best will in the world, you'll just move to the company down the street. So it's just common sense, I think, to focus on the environment that you're providing. It's not just about the customers, it's not just about the money, it's about what you're creating on a daily basis, the impact that you have. And for us, that's such a massive part of why we do this, is when a business owner is retiring, rather than shut up shop and all those employees that work for them, rather than them losing their jobs, we get to continue that person's legacy. So the employees are such a massive focus for us. And the acquisitions that we've made, we've learned the hard way that if the culture of that business is wildly different to what we know we can operate in, and what we like, what we know our existing people, how they function and how they thrive, if it's completely different, then it's just can't it's just not doable, and it's not fun, and it's not productive. So but it's also the hardest thing to measure. It's like when you're buying a business, you can't you know, you can ask a company's owner, like, what are your financials? Like, you know, how many employees do you have? How many customers do you have? Like, there's a lot of quantifiable data, but think like culture is, you can't quantify that. You can't ask an owner to give you to give you that in like a piece of paper. And you can, you know, you can ask them to describe it, but we found a lot of small business owners struggle to describe their culture, they struggle to understand, you know, the implications of their culture, and mostly because they don't know anything different. You know, they've run this business for 30, 40 years a certain way, and that's the way they know. So it, you know, it's hard to ask for that information. So you kind of don't know until you acquire a business what you're getting, really.
Yes. Yeah, well, certainly
Yeah.
with quite a few of my clients, I've run, you know, various workshops to help them crystallize and think through, you know, what are their values and where they're trying to get to, mission, vision, etc. So it's interesting to hear that. So if you're not bringing teams together across the businesses you're purchasing, are you adding value through introduction of customers across the businesses? How are you introducing more value to the businesses that you buy?
Yeah, so yeah, there's definitely that. So obviously you can share customers. So if one business did some machining, you know, for JCB will also need fabrication. So, you know, then you bring in a fabrication business, and in that customer, you can share that customer basically, and bring that customer more value. Because they know if they've worked with you in one area, then they can predict what you like them to work with in another area. So it's good for them as well. Mm-hmm. So there's that, but there is also, I mean, we can and do encourage the teams to mix, because there's so much that they can learn from each other, and there's also a lot of, you know, you can share a lot of resources. You know, the marketing department, the finance department, you know, you don't necessarily have to have, you know, like that doesn't necessarily have to be separate. You know, that team can come together and bounce off each other, share ideas. So yeah, so there's an element of, yeah, you can share resources, you can share customers, share lessons learned, failures, successes, and just the sense that, you know, we are building something is growing. Because sometimes I think you can work in a business and everything feels the same. You know, if you're not kind of on that top level management level where you're seeing things on the back end, if you're just, you know, I don't know, a finance manager, or you work on a machine on the shop floor, you don't necessarily get a sense of growth, and therefore that kind of excitement and purpose that comes with that. Whereas when you buy a business and suddenly there's a whole new team of people, you know, you can't ignore that there's growth happening, because these people come along, and you know, yeah. So I like to think it also gives everybody a sense of, yeah, purpose, vision, and things they can get excited about, opportunities. You know, just because they work in an office in Oldham doesn't mean they can't work in an office in newly acquired business down the road in Manchester. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's also opportunities for people to experience the different companies. And so yeah, so I like to think that there's quite a lot of value that we bring the people and the customers as well.
Sure. And what about the key challenges then you're facing at the moment at Allied Global Engineering?
Oh God, where do I start? This is the beauty of buying businesses. Like I say, you don't always know what you're getting, kind of when you're going through the process. I mean, there's always challenges with, you know, people. I'm sure any business owner can relate. You kind of put out a fire over there, and then all of a sudden a fire appears at the other side of the room. And you know, people have very high expectations, and rightly so these days. You know, that, like I said, they want to go to work and enjoy themselves and know that they're getting a better deal than they could get down the road. So, you know, whilst you're trying to please customers and keep that side going, you also have to be pleasing your people. And if you let that kind of, you know, if you let that fall under the radar a bit, then you end up paying the price. So it's a constant balance of priorities. which I say, that's the way it should be. It can just feel like you're spinning quite a lot of plates sometimes, and yeah, especially when you're buying a new business and it comes in and all of a sudden you've got all these new people, all these new customers, all these all these new processes to evaluate, and so it can be a lot. But yeah, like I say, it's if every day was predictable and if everything was easy, then I think we'd all get bored and probably want to do something else. So
and moving to the future then, what are your aspirations? Where do you see Allied Global Engineering being in 4 or 5 years' time?
I guess there's two sides to it. So there's obviously the kind of nitty-gritty engineering business side, where we are focused on systems, processes, the internals of the business, the customers of the business, and all that. And then there's also, for us, there's the learning journey of buying businesses, because fundamentally we're doing this not just because we love engineering. We're doing this because acquiring assets of this type allow us at partnership level more financial freedom, more stability and security, like I say, more like learning and development opportunities. And yeah, I think because like me, I have a coaching background, so I've always loved like working with people and developing people, and I had a coaching business for a few years. So I'm like, I want to pass this knowledge on to other people, and I want to give these opportunities to other people as well. The opportunity to kind of get involved in this asset class, and people to get out of it, essentially what we're trying to get out of it, which, like I say, is building something that it's our legacy, it's our financial futures. So there's kind of two sides to it. Like I say, we're building our own engineering portfolio, but we're also building the knowledge, education, kind of experience side of buying businesses and trying to pass that on as well. I don't know, if in 5 years' time, hopefully the portfolio is a bit bigger, and hopefully we've got a few people who are kind of our business buying partners, and we're mentoring them and coaching them through the process of people buying their own businesses and supporting them on that journey. So yeah, don't know, not very specific, but as long as we're moving in that direction, I'll be very happy.
You mentioned learning and development. If you look back from when you started your involvement in the business, and you could give yourself some advice based on what you know now, Bethan, what would be your key lessons and key piece of advice, do you think?
I'd probably tell myself to listen to my instincts and trust my instincts. So like I say, there's a lot you can quantify in this. There's a lot of metrics, financial metrics. People saying, oh yeah, we've got 50 employees and X amount get paid X amount, and say there's a lot of quantifiable data, but there's also a lot of unquantifiable data. There's a lot of picking up on people's body language, reading between the lines, a lot of things that are reliant on relationships and culture and kind of just that energy when you go to work. So I think in the beginning I was I was almost looking at the data too much rather than looking at what you can't necessarily see right in front of you. And I kind of ignored some like niggling feelings, which in reflection shouldn't have been ignored.
Okay.
So I would say there's a lot of instinctual, like something's not right here, or I've got a good feeling about this kind of vibes.
Intuition is a powerful thing, hey?
And I think that's probably my biggest one, to be honest.
Okay. Well, it's been great to hear your journey and some of your reflections. Just finally, if I may, Bethan, if anybody is interested, whether they want to sell a business or interested in buying businesses or want to follow up conversation, what might be a sensible next step, would you say?
Yeah, so people connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm fairly easy to find. So there's not many Bethan Jepsons in the world. I don't think there's any other Bethan Jepsons in the world. So yes, I'm quite easy to find on LinkedIn. Well, yeah, if people want to email me, if you want to share my email address around this video somewhere, then yeah, people can email me as well. If anyone's interested in exploring what buying a business might look like for them, I'd say like, if somebody is, I don't know, if somebody's kind of a leader in a business already, maybe you manage a team or manage an office or something like that. But you're obviously building somebody else's business. And you kind of have a feeling of, I don't necessarily want to start a business from scratch, because that's a lot of, trying to find loads of customers, trying to figure out what your product's going to be. Yeah, if you want to skip that bit and kind of buy an established business, the way you can just do what you're good at, which is leading teams of people, leading a business, then this might be something that person might want to consider. So yeah, just reach out to me, and I'd happily talk to anyone and answer people's questions about what it's like.
Well, I'll certainly put some details so that people can make contact with you. Excellent. Well, thanks so much for your time and your input this afternoon, Bethan, and all the very best with Allied Global Engineering.
Thank you very much, Ceri.